I think there's a lot of big decisions to make. Do they want to stick with Antonio Pierce as head coach? And I see reason to do it. They may or may not want to. What do they want to do at quarterback? And Rich, you raise a great question. There are two quarterbacks, you identified them, that are perceived at the top of the draft. What do? Do they value those quarterbacks, one of those, both of those, more than they might value draft picks? Because they're at 8 right now, I believe.
Yep.
Possibly to get one of those quarterbacks, they would have to trade some capital to move up. Do they view either of those quarterbacks as good enough to trade capital? And might they want to get capital from others that want to trade up? But I think a big decision rests on whether they keep Antonio or not. And one thing you can say about this team, notwithstanding their record, they play hard every single down. They are playing harder than a lot of teams with poor records. So I think that's the first decision they have to make is as to head coach.
Why wouldn't Tom Brady say, thank you for your time, Antonio. We're going to bring in Mike Vrabel. We're going to bring in somebody I played with, somebody that I like.
That's the conventional wisdom.
He may.
Vrabel sitting out there, and he's the type of guy that Brady would. But the question is how much say does Brady have? Like, is he?
Oh my God, who doesn't listen to Tom Brady?
I mean, it's one thing about listening to him. It's one thing that.
Thanks very much for taking in this edition.
Ladies and gentlemen, Amy friggin' Trask.
Free drop.
Yeah, I mean, but the question is you can listen to him, but do you give him the keys to the car? Like say, okay, you're driving the bus and we'll do whatever you think, Tom.
Well, is
that what it's going to be?
Like great Patriots coaches in the past, is he going to, if he wants to, be the cook, isn't he going to shop for the groceries?
Well, I mean, they got Tom Telesco for that, but I don't think they'd hand the entire store off to him like that, but just to basically say, Tom, locker rooms, quarterbacks, what works. Do we bounce the coach? And can you get Vrabel? Because Vrabel's going to, I don't know, the Patriots might realize that their first year with Gerard Mayo.
They should have brought in Vrabel earlier.
Okay,
but
here's my hunch and here's my view. My view is they absolutely positively should factor in everything Brady has to say for the reasons you just said. Tom Brady, I mean, look at his resume, look at his history. The man knows how to win. So of course they should factor in what he has to say. But my hunch is, my view is, my belief is, however you want to call it, it'll be a collaborative decision. They will take Tom's input, of course, and they should, but they will listen to others as well. And I believe they will make a collaborative decision. I have no idea what that decision will be. Last year, they made the decision to retain Antonio, who had been the interim coach. They retained him as a full-time head coach because they viewed it that they erred when they didn't do that a couple years prior. I don't know what they'll do this year, but I do know that team is playing very, very hard for Antonio.
I know the fact that Rich Bisaccia did well, and then they didn't keep him, and then they went with McDaniels, who we all know didn't work out there to their desires.
I'm sorry, where has he worked out?
No, I hear you. And then but Max Crosby also said, I don't want to be a Raider if we're not hiring this guy on his podcast, and that's a pretty large chit.
I think you do have to take into consideration who the players are, who the leaders of the team are. Obviously, that Max is one of the leaders of the team, and he may hold himself in such a regard that he's not concerned about what Brady has to say. He might just say, like, look, if you want me, here's what you have to do.
Well, that was last year. I don't know if he feels that way now either. He's got
Let's get him on the show. Let's reach out.
I mean, Max is he's always been
a podcast friendly.
He's got his own, and that's where he said it on his own pod. Like this guy should be the next head coach. But it's just it's amazing how this entire conversation could be moot because the Raiders lose, a bunch of other teams win, and they're that much closer to getting Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Pierce is tight with Deion, and I think that would be a spot that Deion wouldn't mind his kid going to. And I don't know how much Deion can control the draft, but he will try. He will try. He will absolutely try. If he thinks that the spot that his kid might wind up in isn't right, he will make some calls. He will use his bully pulpit. He will do stuff. As he
last time since Eli Manning didn't want to go to.
Hasn't happened. That's it.
That's the last time.
That's the last time.
Are we seeing a shift, do you think, or do you think this is an anomaly because it's Deion?
It's an anomaly because it's Deion and his kid. And Travis Hunter is another one of his kids. And he came on the show a couple weeks ago and said, if you as an organization do not think Travis Hunter can play both offense and defense, then don't draft him. And if you do, and you feel that way, he's still got a year of eligibility left.
Check out new episodes of What the Football with Suzy Shuster and Amy Trask every Tuesday. Watch us on the Rich Eisen Show YouTube page or follow and listen wherever you get your podcasts.